Hello, everyone, and welcome. You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Philip Toledo, coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you so much for joining us this evening or morning, wherever you are in the world. Tonight, we have reports from several of our correspondents across the U.S. Let's meet them now and hear the headlines. E.J. Gonzalez in Alexandria, Virginia.
Virginia implements first-in-the-nation workplace safety standards for COVID-19 pandemic.
Estella Dominique in Washington, D.C.
Frontliners in the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia region received gifts of virgin coconut oil from the Philippine Embassy here in the U.S.
Joanne Soriano in New York, New York.
Every region of New York in phase 4 of reopening. 31 states on New York travel advisory.
Anna Cui in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Nevada State Treasurer announces state's short-term rental assistance program.
Then Don Omar Cuevas in Little Rock reports about COVID-19 in Arkansas continuing to spread and the Department of Health ordering the wearing of masks in indoor and outdoor public spaces. Then we'll head to Sylmar, California with Emerson Simon.
The Arroyo Bridge Home facility opens in Sylmar and houses 85 women.
Plus, we'll learn how to make bulletproof coffee from our EBC friend Elmarie Gonzalez in South Haven, Mississippi. And after that, we will ask our Eagle News team tonight what kind of coffee they like. But first, an overview of how the world looks now. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time Tuesday, July 21, 2020, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 14,200,000. This includes more than 3,800,000 in the U.S. Sadly, this virus has claimed more than 611,000 lives worldwide. That includes more than 141,000 deaths here in the United States. Our coverage begins now. Virginia implements a first-in-the-nation workplace safety standard for the COVID-19 pandemic. E.J. Gonzalez in Alexandria has the story. E.J.?
Thanks, Philip. Governor Ralph Northam announced that Virginia is leading the nation when it comes to developments in mandating workplace safety standards. Before we get into this story, here's a brief update on COVID-19 numbers for the state. According to the Virginia Department of Health, the Northern Virginia area continues to see a decline in positive cases, logging only 7 total confirmed cases since the beginning of this week. However, the eastern region continues to see an upward trend in cases, reaching as high as 449 confirmed cases in just one day at the beginning of this month. Governor Northam tightened up the reins in regards to the Hampton Roads area due to their spiking numbers last week. The governor warned restaurant owners that failure to keep the safety guidelines of social distancing and wearing of face coverings in their establishments could result in their licenses being revoked. The governor confirmed today that several restaurants in the Hampton Roads area were indeed shut down this past weekend. Virginia is experiencing an extreme heat wave over the next several days. The Virginia Department of Emergency Management urges residents to keep cool in air-conditioned areas, drink plenty of water, not to leave pets unattended, and check in on family members and loved ones. Now, in regards to the workplace safety standards, Governor Northam said that Virginia stepped up to the plate because no such guidelines were mandated by the federal government. Virginia has stepped up to protect workers from COVID-19, creating the nation's first enforceable workplace safety requirements. Northam said, workers should not have to sacrifice their health and safety to earn a living, especially during an ongoing pandemic. Keeping Virginians safe at work is not only a critical part of stopping the spread of the virus, it's key to our economic recovery, and it's the right thing to do. These first-in-the-nation safety rules will protect Virginia workers by implementing appropriate PPE, sanitation, social distancing, infectious disease preparedness and response plans record keeping, training, and hazard communications in workplaces across the state. For employees in customer-facing positions, employers will mandate social distancing and face coverings in their workplace. When social distancing is not possible, they're required to provide frequent access to hand washing or hand sanitizer and regularly clean high-contact surface areas. The new standards also require all employees be notified within 24 hours if a coworker tests positive for the virus. Employees who test positive for COVID-19 cannot return to work for 10 days or until they receive 2 consecutive negative tests. Chief Workforce Development Advisor Megan Healy said, "Our workers are our greatest asset, and I am confident that these temporary standards will provide Virginians with the peace of mind they need to return to work and fuel the Commonwealth's economic recovery." There's definitely a feeling of pride when you live in a state who takes matters into their own hands and leads the nation to set up such standards in order to keep the public feeling safe and cared for. In Alexandria, Virginia, EJ Gonzalez, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Philip.
Thanks for that report, EJ. I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on these standards and how is it going to affect the workplace?
Well, I think Virginia's plan for these workplace safety standards are great. If there's one positive takeaway from this pandemic, it's that it makes people aware of practicing proper sanitation methods. It should ultimately produce a good habit of always washing hands and regular cleaning of our devices, such as keyboards and desktops. I especially like how there will be a protocol for anyone who does test positive to not return to work for 10 days or until they receive 2 consecutive negative tests. These actions will definitely help stop the spread of the virus and give employees the feeling of protection in the workplace.
So on that note, what are you hearing from the community there? Are these protections or standards that they're putting in place, are they actually making people more comfortable in going back to work?
Well, definitely. From my observations, whenever I do go out in public, many people are wearing masks, and I definitely feel safe seeing that everybody is covering themselves. And, you know, it definitely sees everybody's hand in playing participation in stopping the spread of the virus here in Virginia.
Absolutely. Well, that's great news. We hope to hear more stories like that, EJ. We'll catch up with you later in the broadcast when we learn about your favorite cup of joe.
Okay, thanks, Philip. Thank you.
Now, everyone, when we come back, we'll have more reports from our correspondents across the U.S., so make sure that you stay with us. This is Eagle News, America.
Tatawagin ko na ang 5 contestants na papasok sa finals.
Nasa inyong mga kamay ang kanilang kapalaran at 100% ng desisyon ay manggagaling sa inyong boto. Kaya vote na sa pinakamagaling na contestant. Kung ikaw ay Team Angel Nicole Francisco, text TNG Space Angel. Sa palagay mo, Cosmic Angels ang pinakamagaling. Text TNG Space Cosmic. ang nagpahanga sa support na kung napahanga ka ni Jonah Chris Pangilio. Text TNG space Jonah Chris. Number 1 at the best na para sa'yo si Edrain Oclarino? Text TNG space Edrain. Boto na at isend sa 0922-110-1400. Isang boto kada isang mobile number. Make sure na tama ang keyword para valid ang boto mo. Pwede rin kayong bumoto via online. Pumunta lang sa Tagisan ng Galing channel sa YouTube. Hanapin ang performance ng paborito niyong contestant. Panuurin, i-like at i-share. 25% ang text votes, 25% ang views, 25% ang like at 25% ang share. Kaya naman lahat ng boto, views, like at shares nyo ay mahalaga. So vote now! At sabay-sabay nating abangan kung sino ang tatanghaling ultimate grand winner sa Tagisan ng Galing.
Welcome back. This is Eagle News America. I am Philip Toledo in Atlanta. Frontliners in the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia region received gifts of virgin coconut oil from the Philippine Embassy in the United States. Estela Dominique in Washington, D.C. has the report. Estela?
Thank you, Philip. The Philippine Embassy, through the Office of the Agriculture Attaché, dropped off Trader Joe's organic virgin coconut oil, or VCO, sourced from the Philippines to frontliners in the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia region. Just recently, pint jars of VCO were given to the frontliners at the George Washington University, or GW Hospital. They were also provided as tokens of appreciation to some frontliners in Virginia last month specifically to those working at VCU Health Enrichment and to firefighters in Burke. This was done on the occasion of National Coconut Day, celebrated every June 26 in the United States, to help raise awareness of the many users and benefits of coconut products. Dr. Jocelyn Jabalosa, the Philippine Agriculture Attaché to the United States, said these VCO gifts to GW Hospital frontliners was in response to the request of Ms. Carmen Stowe, chair of the Women's Board of the GW Hospital. The mission of the GW Hospital Women's Board is to further the charitable purposes of GW Hospital, its constituents, and the local community in the area of healthcare, education, healthcare advancement initiatives, patient advocacy, healthcare awareness promotion, and medical research. Ms. Toll said GW Hospital frontliners may find the VCO useful and appreciate the modest gesture of the Philippine Embassy as a thank you for the work they do amid the COVID-19 pandemic. George Washington Hospital is located in Washington, D.C., about a mile away from the Philippine Embassy. In Washington, D.C., Estella Dominique, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Philip.
Thank you, Estella. Now, it's very interesting that the gift that was given was this VCO, or virgin coconut oil, and many of our viewers, they may not be familiar with this product. What are some of the benefits of the product when someone uses it?
Well, according to the release from the embassy, there are tons of uses for VCO, some of which are: 1, VCO can be used as moisturizer and help protect the skin from viruses and bacteria. 2, it can also be added to coffee for added energy and flavor. 3, VCO can also be used for oil pulling. It is an oral health routine that involves swishing oil around the mouth in a similar way to mouthwash. 4, since VCO heats well to high temperature, it is also suitable for cooking. And 5, personally, I have used it as a lip balm, especially during the winter season, and it's pretty effective.
Well, that's good to know. A lot of ways that someone could try out this coconut oil. The other thing that I want to touch on is you mentioned that this virgin coconut oil that the Philippine Embassy gave out to the frontliners is from Trader Joe's, and the producers here are telling me that maybe you're a fan of Trader Joe's. So what other products do you like from there?
Well, Trader Joe's is one of those non-conventional shops where you can find products not sold in regular grocery stores. And for me, it is a treat whenever we take a trip to Trader Joe's. Some of the products I really love from there are ube mochi pancake and waffle mix, which, by the way, is a Philippine product too. Another one is cookie butter, and also aloha rolls, which are Hawaiian dinner rolls. And I would recommend you try them.
Then I don't want to foreshadow too much to later, because those sound like things that would go great with coffee. But one final question before you go. For those that are watching and may not know what an ube mochi pancake is, can you talk a little bit more about that and what is so special about that in relation to the Philippines?
Well, it is ube is a sort of yam, and I believe it's very popular in Philippines too, and it's very good. There's also ube ice cream and all these other kinds of food that are starting to have ube flavor, and you guys should try it too. Yeah.
So if you're interested in eating something purple, look for ube. That's what you're telling us. Excellent.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, Estella. We'll catch up with you here at the end of the program.
Thank you.
Now we'll turn our attention to New York, where every region of New York State is now in phase 4 of its reopening. And 31 states are now on New York's travel advisory. In New York, the Bureau Chief, Joanne Soriano, has the report. Joanne?
Hi, Philip. New York City entered phase 4 of reopening yesterday, which means now every region of New York is in the 4th and final phase of reopening. This allows for schools to reopen pursuant to state guidance. It allows for low-risk outdoor activities and entertainment at 33% capacity, for outdoor professional sports without fans, and also for media production. For now, indoor activity at malls and cultural institutions will remain closed. But the High Line and Governor's Island have reopened with timed entry passes. Outdoor venues such as the Bronx Zoo and the New York Botanical Garden are planning to open by the end of the month. And the Metropolitan Museum of Art is targeting an August 29th reopening date. Also, good news for bookworms. Some branches of the New York Public Library are offering grab-and-go service. Patrons can place holds for physical materials via their online catalog and pick up the books at one of the designated branches. New York is also sending PPE, including masks, face shields, gloves, gowns, and hand sanitizer to Savannah, Georgia. In addition, New York will establish 2 testing sites in COVID-19 hotspots in Savannah. Both sites are located in highly impacted minority communities and will provide up to 500 tests per day. 10 additional states with significant community spread have been added to the travel advisory, bringing the total now to 31 states. Individuals who have traveled to New York from states on the list are required to quarantine for 14 days. The most recent additions to the travel advisory are Alaska, Delaware, Indiana, Maryland, Missouri, Montana, North Dakota, Nebraska, Virginia, and Washington. Minnesota has been removed from the original list. Governor Cuomo said, as infection rates increase in 41 other states, our numbers continue to steadily decline. Yesterday, we had our lowest death toll since the pandemic began, and with no fatalities in New York City. While today's numbers are encouraging, we must remain vigilant. In New York, Joanne Soriano, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Philip.
Thanks, Joanne. Now, with indoor dining still off limits in New York City, have you had a chance to try outdoor dining at any of the restaurants?
Well, I actually love seeing all of the life and liveliness coming back to the streets that with outdoor dining that had come back, especially on the busy avenues that are full of restaurants. And with the summer sun, a lot of them have put tents or really large umbrellas over the table, so it makes it feel even more festive, almost like a street festival. I really hope that because of this increase in business, that the businesses are able to bounce back from the past slow months. But personally, I haven't sat at one of the tables yet. I'm still a little bit cautious. Some of the tables are a little bit closed and a lot of people are gathering, which makes me a little bit uncomfortable about it. So I've been doing takeout and I've been trying to cook at home more.
Excellent. And I know that's an important reminder for everyone that, you decrease the risk when you're outside, right? But if you're, still like super next to each other, it almost defeats the purpose. I also want to touch on something else when you mentioned the different reopenings there in the state, one of which being the schools, which, down here in Georgia, which, by the way, thank you for the PPE from up there in New York. Right. But I'm just curious, what's the feeling of the community there when it comes to schools reopening? Is that something that that's a positive thing, or are there people more hesitant? What's the reaction to that part of the reopening plan?
There's still no decisions on schools reopening yet. They're going to wait until a bit later when the season starts for session starts for schools. A lot of parents still, as much as they want to be able to send their kids back to school for, just for the better learning environment, they still are scared to bring their kids back. And they also don't want to increase risk for teachers who have to be around all of those kids. So I can see the both sides of this, but we're going to wait and see.
Absolutely. It's something we're all watching closely. all parents everywhere, of course. So Thank you so much, Joanne. We're going to hear about your coffee a little bit later, so we'll be looking forward for that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now we'll turn our attention to the state of Nevada, where State Treasurer Zach Conine announced a short-term rental assistance program. There in Las Vegas, Bureau Chief Anna Cui has the details. Anna?
Thank you, Philip. According to a recent press release from the Nevada Health Response.gov, Nevada State Treasurer Zach Conine announces the state's short-term rental assistance program for those experiencing financial hardship due to COVID-19. The state of Nevada is providing $30 million to support the program using coronavirus relief funds authorized under the CARES Act Funds under the state program will also provide additional support to the existing $30 million in rental assistance, which has been allocated by Clark County, and Clark County is where Las Vegas sits. So, Philip, this is really great, a great program. What's great about this program is that it's being offered as a grant to eligible Nevada tenants. And as we know, grants do not have to be paid back. And as we know also, it's hard to come by. So funds will be awarded on the first come, first served basis and will be paid directly to landlords on behalf of tenants. So in order to be eligible for these, for the program, applicants must be a tenant in Nevada with a current active lease in which back rent is owed. They must be able to, show financial hardship due to COVID-19, loss of job, reduction in work hours, and or reduction in wages. They must have a gross annual household income that is at or below 120% of area median income. And they must not be receiving federal voucher housing assistance already. And lastly, they must have household liquid resources less than $3,000. So for those of you watching, where do you need to go? Just visit housing.nevada.gov, and they are now accepting applications. Also in this website, Nevada residents will be able to see the exact chart of the annual household income maximums to qualify for the program. But look at it closely because it depends on the county that you live in. One example here for Clark County, for a household of 4, maximum income is $90,000. So Philip, the Nevada stats on COVID cases. We are, as of today, we have 37,528 total cases with 676 deaths. And our cumulative positivity rate as of today is at 9.5. In Las Vegas, Anna Cui, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Philip.
Thanks so much, Anna. And like you mentioned, I'm sure this will be much welcome relief to many people there that have been affected by the pandemic. Just out of curiosity, I know when you say Las Vegas, we think about tourism and, going down and seeing the sights and, eating at all those buffets. But many visitors, they're probably not thinking about, the individuals that actually live there. Well, what's the average rent like there in Las Vegas?
Yeah, so I looked that up, and according to this website called Rent Cafe, which reports on the rental market trends in different cities, and for Las Vegas, they showed the average rent is $1,107, which is actually a 5% increase compared to last year. But that's, of course, it depends on what area of town you live in. And for that amount, that actually is average for about a 900 square feet apartment. And again, it varies on, what part of town you live in. Back to you.
Absolutely. And I can only imagine that if that's only a 900 square foot apartment, if you've got, a family, if you've got a kid or more than one kid, that's not a whole lot of space. So do they have any idea of, I guess, the number of people that may be looking for this assistance? I know you mentioned that they think the demand might be increased, but do they have an idea of what it may look like?
Well, I mean, it didn't mention in the report, but I do know that according to that, the rental market report, there is about a 37% of renters here in Nevada, in Las Vegas alone. So that's a lot of people. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Anna, for your report. We're looking forward to hearing about coffee here in just a little bit. So we'll get back with you soon.
All right. Thanks, Philip.
Thank you. Now, coming up, we will have more updates from our correspondents and, of course, that conversation on coffee. So make sure that you stay with us. This is Eagle News, America.
Tomorrow, I love ya. Tomorrow, you're always a day
Hello there, I'm Alfred, and I'm a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, batch of 2008 in New Era University. I'm currently working as an operations analyst in Autodesk.
Hi, I'm Earl Escanio, and I graduated with Bachelor of Science major in Computer Science in 2010. I am a consultant at Trinity Consulting LLC.
Hi, I'm Ivy Macapagal, Bachelor's of Computer Science graduate, year 2010. I am currently working as a cybersecurity analyst in one of the largest telco here in New Zealand, Coast Park NZ.
I'm Frank David Riego, a BS Computer Science graduate here in 2015. As a legal analyst, I am tasked to read U.S. cases, specifically civil torts cases.
I am Melanie Rico Hermosity, a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science graduate, year 2006.
I'm currently a software quality assurance engineer at FBI Systems here in Maryland, United States.
Hi, I'm Renzo Cruz. I'm a graduate of BS Computer Science, year 2012. I'm currently working abroad, and I'm working as a senior cybersecurity consultant who specializes in digital forensics and incident response. And I am part of a national security in one of the countries here in the Middle East.
I am inviting everyone to study at New Era University. To legit, to great.
Be brilliant in the new era.
Study now at New Era University.
Excellence,
Discipline,
Service to humanity.
Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Philip Toledo in Atlanta. COVID-19 cases in Arkansas continue to surge, prompting the Department of Health to order the wearing of masks in indoor and outdoor public spaces. In Little Rock, Eagle News correspondent Don Omar Cuevas has the details.
Thanks for having me, Philip, and hello from Little Rock, Arkansas. COVID-19 in Arkansas is continuing to spread with almost 35,000 cases and 363 deaths. The total number of cases in Arkansas isn't as high as other states like New York or Florida, but there's still a risk of outbreak. The positive test rate for COVID-19 in Arkansas is now just over 10%, with an infection rate around 1.20. Because of this surge of the disease, Governor Asa Hutchinson has issued an executive order for the state of Arkansas, known as Executive Order 20-43. This new directive, headed by the Arkansas Department of Health, requires everyone in Arkansas to wear a mask over their mouth and nose, both indoors and outdoors. Of course, there are exemptions to the rule, such as people with medical conditions that prevent them from wearing a mask. This order became effective on Monday, July the 20th. It will be enforced by local officials and law enforcement, and violation of this rule will result in a fine between $100 and $500. However, not everyone has taken this new rule well. On the day the order was issued, a group of people gathered in front of the Arkansas State Capitol to protest the mask mandate. Among the group were farmers and elected officials, stating that the order infringed on their personal freedom. Meanwhile, Philip, I hope you're staying safe and healthy over there in Georgia. In Little Rock, Arkansas, Don Omar Cuevas, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you in the studio, Philip.
Thanks, Don Omar. You stay safe there as well. Now we'll head to California, where the Arroyo Bridge Home Facility opens in Sylmar and houses 85 women. In Sylmar, Emerson Simon has the story. Emerson?
Thank you, Philip. During these difficult times, housing and food has been a concern for many. In an effort to assist many Angelenos whose lives has been severely impacted, Many resources and assistance programs have been implemented to help those vulnerable communities. In Sylmar, California, a new bridge home facility, the Arroyo, opened to provide housing to 85 women to find themselves without adequate housing during this time. This bridge home shelter will assist those who participate and qualify for this program with access to healthcare, support to finding permanent housing, and counseling. Previously a former armory, the Arroyo shelter is located in Sylmar, California, and will be operated by the Los Angeles Family Housing, a nonprofit organization. This shelter will be entirely staffed with women and is designed to lift up and nurture the women who will be temporarily living here. This new facility will offer a yoga studio, a garden, mental health support, and art therapy programs to assist women with the transition to support and permanent housing. According to the Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, an additional 24 bridge home facilities are projected to be open in Los Angeles by the end of July. In Los Angeles County, the number of new cases increased today with 2,741 newly reported cases and 50 new deaths. Over half of these confirmed new positive COVID-19 cases are people 41 years of age and younger. Barbara Ferrer, the LA Public Health Director, stated the tragedy of what we are witnessing today is that many of our younger residents are interacting with each other and not adhering to the recommended prevention measures, while older residents continue to experience the results of this increase spread with the worst health outcomes, including death. Our behaviors, including the wearing of face masks, coverings, and the adherence of physical distancing, simple actions of kindness and caring can protect those we love. The total number of confirmed cases in the county are 161,673 with 4,154 deaths and 2,218 current hospitalizations, as announced today by the Los Angeles Public Health Department. Meanwhile, the state of California now has a total of 400,769 confirmed COVID-19 cases and 7,755 deaths, as recorded by the California Department of Public Health. In Sylmar, California, Emerson Simon, Eagle News, we are living in interesting times.
Thanks so much, Emerson. Just a follow-up question for you. How long will this temporary housing be operational, and are there any other projected benefits to providing shelter to the homeless?
Philip, it's expected that bridge housing will remain open for 3 years. One of the expected positive outcomes to this plan is that as homeless encampments begin to empty, city sanitation workers will mobilize cleaning and clearing these sectors in an effort to return them to uncluttered public areas.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And I did want to ask another follow-up. One of the things that you had mentioned was the focus on young people and their role in spreading the virus now. I was just curious, for you and your friends, what are the things that you do to help mitigate the spread of this virus? What are the types of things you do to stay safe?
Well, we always try to keep ourselves in mind about wearing masks, always washing your hands, everything, because everything we touch may contain a virus. So we got to keep ourselves pretty full on defense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Defense is very important when it comes to this pandemic. Well, thank you very much, Emerson. We're going to catch up with you here in just a little bit, because right after we come back from this next break, we're going to learn how to make bulletproof coffee. You got nothing to lose. We'll return in just a moment. This is Eagle News America.
malaking parte ng pamumuhay namin ang agrikultura. Sa mother side ko, ang kanilang kalakal ay animal husbandry. Sila po ay nag-aalaga ng mga baka. Magmula po sa Pangasinan, napunta po ng Nueva Ecija. Ang father side ko naman po, mula po sa Spain, pagdating nila dito sa Pilipinas, sila po yung tinatawag na uring may lupa. Talagang nabuhay po kami, ibinuhay po sa amin ang agrikultura. Mga mahal kong kababayan, ito po si Robin Padilla, inaanyayahan ko po kayong manood ng Unlad, Kaagapay sa Hanap Buhay. Dito po sa Net 25.
May kaagapay sa hanap buhay.
It says the best defense is still containment.
We are in uncharted territory.
Final volume 450. FI on to 100%. Standing by. Consumption eh.
Protektahan ang sarili laban sa coronavirus disease o COVID-19.
Narito ang ilang paalala.
Takpan ang ilong at bibig sa tuwing babahing at uubo. Gamitin ang looban ng siko. Kung gagamit naman ng tissue, ay tiyaking maitapon ito agad sa tamang basurahan. Iwasang hawakan ang ilong o bibig. Ugaliing maghugas ng mga kamay gamit ang sabon at umaagos na tubig o magpahid ng alcohol-based sanitizer.
Gumamit ng face mask kung ikaw ay may ubot sipon. O kaya naman ay may inaalaga ang pasyente na mayroong simptomas ng respiratory illness. Itapon ng gamit na face mask sa tamang basurahan.
Sundin ang social distancing. Panatilihin ang 1 metrong layo mula sa ibang tao. Lalo na kapag nasa labas ng bahay. Kung maaari ay umiwas muna sa mga matataong lugar.
Laging tandaan, mahalaga ang kalinisan upang sakit ay maiwasan.
everyone. You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Philip Toledo in Atlanta. It's time to talk about a favorite drink that has become so many things to so many people. And in case you missed it at the beginning of the show, we're going to talk about coffee. Now, for some, coffee means relaxation or a break time, maybe a catalyst for casual or maybe deep conversation with others. But for other people, it's a survival tool to get them through long hours at work. Even more diverse than its role in our own lives, it's the manner in which we take our coffee. Marie Gonzalez from South Haven, Mississippi is going to show us how she makes her coffee, a special version of bulletproof coffee. Let's take a look.
Hey everyone, I'm Marie Gonzalez and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make a bulletproof coffee using the ingredients that you may already have in your own pantry. There you have it. Hope you guys like this video and my version of bulletproof coffee. Reporting from South Haven, Mississippi, I am Marie Gonzalez, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you in studios.
Thanks, Marie. I wonder though, do people really try new things when it comes to coffee, or do they just stick to the same old way that they've always done it? And what makes a good cup of coffee perfect? Let's ask our Eagle News team tonight. Let's start by asking EJ there in Alexandria. How do you make your perfect cup of coffee?
Yeah, I make it exactly the way you said, how I've always made it. Water and ice. I don't drink coffee. I never started drinking coffee, honestly. I mean, even when in college or once I started working, I just never got into it. Anyone who knows me, they know that I really just drink water. But my wife, on the other hand, oh man, she loves coffee. She kind of gets mad at me every time she asks me, do you want to try it? I'm like, no. She always gets mad. But it's okay because I know the type of coffee she likes. Well, during the pandemic, there was a big craze going on called Dalgona coffee. And I would make that for her, and she'd like it when I would make it more than she would make it. But and when we go to boba places, she does also get like the coffee flavored drinks, Vietnamese coffee, and one of her favorite is brown sugar. So she told me, make sure you remember brown sugar, coffee, milk, tea, 75% sugar. No toppings. So every time I go, I make sure I order it for her.
Absolutely. I think it's very important for all the husbands out there to know how your wife likes her coffee.
Right.
Because I know if I'm making coffee for my wife, whatever it is in the Keurig, because we're fairly simple, but it's 2 tablespoons of the French vanilla creamer, no more, no less. She can always tell the difference. So I could totally understand that. Joanne, how about you? How do you take your coffee? Do you have any interesting ways of making it?
Actually, my husband makes our coffee, and he uses this thing called a Chemex. We use it for both hot and cold coffee, and lately I've been liking my coffee iced because it's been so hot here. So we always grind the beans fresh, so there's always a fresh cup. And the Chemex is actually really similar to a drip coffee. So a filter like this goes right on top here, and then you would put the grinds in and then pour hot water through it. And the difference is this is a thicker filter, so it produces a slower brew than a regular drip coffee, and it's a richer cup. So
a richer cup.
Mm-hmm.
So after you've tried this richer cup of coffee, how does it compare to just your regular old cup of Joe? Can you drink the other stuff anymore, or are you stuck on this new one?
If I drink the other things, I have to put less cream. So that it's a little bit darker.
Absolutely, no, I understand. How about there? I see Anna in Las Vegas. She's smiling. Anna, what are you smiling about? Talk to us about coffee.
Well, no, it reminds me of what Joanne showed. It reminds me of a scene from my favorite K drama. It's like Crash Landing on You, where he made that coffee. But that's why I was smiling. But anyway, for me, so thank you for sharing that, Joanne. For me, I've learned to love coffee. I started drinking it just for the creamer. I loved creme brulee, the creamer, but I don't see that anymore. So, through the years, I've probably been drinking coffee now for 20 years, and I've learned to love it. Like I put less and less creamer. Before I used to just drink it, like I said, with the creamer. So I put a lot of creamer, but now I put less creamer, and I like, the strong coffee. So I will definitely have to try that, Joanne. So, but my favorite one, once in a while, because especially right now it's summer, it does get hot. Like EJ mentioned, boba, cold brew with sea salt cream on top. Is really good with boba, of course. And from time to time, I do add, as Estella mentioned earlier, the coconut oil to coffee. And whipped cream.
And then what does the coconut oil do to the coffee? How does it change the taste or the texture?
It tastes good. You can taste depending on how much you put. I usually will put like a teaspoon, just mix it around. You got to mix it well, and the coffee has to be really hot. Otherwise, the coconut won't melt as well, but it tastes good. It gives it that coconut taste. Very good.
Absolutely.
You have to try it.
I think that I will. I'm curious though, because it's so hot there in Nevada. It's hot here in Georgia. It's hot in California as well. Emerson, how are you drinking coffee? If you drink coffee during the summer there in California?
Oh, well, usually I brew coffee at home and I stop the heating part of the brewing, and I just leave it there for like maybe the night before, so it's just a little cooler. And I usually have fresh packs of ice cubes that's like waiting for me if I were to go to work. And I usually add sometimes chia seeds instead of boba. They're just a little bit healthier, and it makes it just like a little bit like a smaller boba in a way. So, and it's filling too. So you tend to be a little bit more bloaty, but it tends to fill you up. And as a creamer, I use basic Coffee Mate or oat milk is what I prefer for just the milk kind, because I like the oat taste.
I'm starting to hear more and more about oat milk. That's becoming, I think, very popular amongst a lot of people here during the pandemic. And I've got to say, you're the first person that I've ever heard of that puts chia seeds in their coffee. So
it was an experiment, so I had to try it.
And it worked out well, it sounds like.
It does. I just had to put depending on what cup I have, so it's not too much. So just maybe like a spoonful, depending on the cup.
Absolutely. So we've heard a lot about interesting ways to make coffee. Estella in DC, how about you? Do you drink coffee?
I'm not coffee drinker, but I want to try what you guys said because they all sound interesting. But I wouldn't want to say that I would like to have another cup of coffee because last time I did, I stayed up the whole night. And it's funny because I only had a half a teaspoon of instant coffee mixed with hot chocolate. It wasn't even a full cup. And I just couldn't sleep. So I think I'm going to stay off of coffee. But there's some times where my dad would drink black coffee and I'll just have sips of that. And I think I'll stop after like 3 sips. Yeah.
No, I totally understand that because if I'm not mistaken, if you're making the Dalgona coffee that I think EJ mentioned earlier, that uses instant coffee as well. And I know whenever we've made that at home, of course, following the instructions from those Digital Nest videos that we've seen here on air before, I feel like I might drink it at 8 in the morning and then 8 o'clock at night, I still feel jittery and wired. So it's probably wise if you stay away from the instant coffee. I don't think you're making a wrong decision there. Before we go, I just want to ask all of our, anyone can jump in. As far as coffee goes during this COVID-19 pandemic, has anything about your coffee habit changed as a result of all of these stay-at-home orders and spending more time at home? Does anyone want to jump in with a closing remark to that question?
I've been drinking more coffee since COVID-19.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, why are you drinking more coffee, Anna?
Well, because since the lockdown, and then we went back and forth, working from home, and then now back to work again, and now half working at home and half working remote again because of our numbers going up. So I've been sleeping a lot later than my usual. So. And coffee, believe it or not, Estella, it doesn't keep me awake anymore. It just doesn't. It's weird, but it doesn't matter. If I drink it at night, I would still go to sleep, when I hit that pillow. No problem.
That's not a bad problem to have, I guess, too, when it comes to getting sleep. So thank you so much, Anna, Estella, EJ, Joanne, Emerson, for all of your thoughts on coffee. I hope everyone out there watching our program tonight has been able to enjoy that. Now, before we go, there's something that we do every night, and that's to continue to thank our frontline and essential workers because the work that you do is so important. And we want to thank you with a round of applause. So everyone will join us. We sincerely appreciate all of you. So thank you everyone for joining us this evening. That is today's edition of Eagle News America. Wherever you are, stay safe and stay well. I'm Philip Toledo. We live in interesting times.